Now it's time for the 2-mile run. I believe. Question is, do you believe?
I believe there isn't a chance in hell that he can finish a 2-mile run.
First lap, 58 seconds, 19 laps to go.
Dr. Mike's on pace to pass if he keeps that pace for the next 19 laps.
And so he starts out running very strong. He's on pace to pass after 1 lap. 1 out of 20.
Some would say it's the most important event.
This is a brain rot special.
Tia Matic cooking in the basement.
Coach Greg, in today's video, Mr. Mike does an Army fitness test and asks the question, will I pass? I mean, it goes without saying that there's a 0% chance that he's going to pass this test. And so the question isn't will he pass, but more so, how much will he fail by?
His job, it is to embarrass me. How are you feeling about all this?
I don't really see it being much of a challenge.
I mean, it goes without saying his job is to embarrass Mr. Mike. It's not much of a challenge. He says this without any hesitation, and so without any hesitation, let's get right.
Thank you, Greg. Just a little intra-abdominal pressure. So if I just pick that up, I'm probably gonna pass out.
And so Mr. Mike, he has to let out a fart, some intra-abdominal pressure before attempting the deadlift, and of course he's going to pass. This is 345 pounds for 3 reps. He lifts weights. It's not something he's going to fail.
The part to me that's the most challenging, to be completely honest, is the reaching out to the sides.
And so it's not the push-up that's the hard part. It's forming a T with your arms. This is the hardest part. And so Mr. Mike would not have made a great cheerleader. He cannot make these formations. He cannot put his arms out to his sides. I mean, if that's the hardest part of a push-up, you really need to start stretching. You know, when it comes to being fit, you technically shouldn't be just working on your strengths, but more so your weaknesses. And so Mike, he's obviously going to be strong enough to do a push-up or a chin-up or a deadlift. But what about his flexibility or his cardiovascular endurance? And so if you, in fact, are training with weights every single day, but you never do cardio, maybe, just maybe, focus on your weakness, which is, of course, the treadmill, elliptical, bicycle, whatever.
So important for being able to get up off the ground quickly.
I mean, he's struggling to do this, like putting his arms out and back. He doesn't have the flexibility to come straight across. It's not looking good for Mr. Mike. And so one thing you'll notice is that Mr. Mike is so big up top, the rib cage, that he only has to go halfway down to do a push-up. Perhaps it's because he has T-Rex arms, being a 5'5.5" manlet, kind of like Coach Greg, but you can see he's actually very strong at doing push-ups. He's just not very good at putting his arms out to the side.
I done pushed up off my shoes. Don't buy discount women's shoes at Target.
And so why is he showing up with discount women's shoes from Target for an Army fitness test? That is the question.
The minimum is 2 minutes, 40 seconds, and the max is 1 minute, 36 seconds.
Why are the standards so embarrassingly pathetic? That is what I want to know. To get excellent, it's 1 minute and 20, but to pass, it's 2 minutes and 40. It's half the speed. I don't know about you, but if bro can only get 50% the score of someone else, well, I don't want him on my team.
Definitely my favorite exercise. You know, really separates the sheep from the goats.
And so this is his favorite exercise. Don't know how he came up with that, but it separates the sheeps from the goats, or perhaps the Mr. Mikes, from people who actually train properly and are not just using Renaissance periodation. If that's his marketing ploy, like, hey, you guys can train like me and become like me, then I don't know how he's able to sell all these programs. I mean, this is the epitome of the results of his training style, his philosophy. I don't want any part of it.
Go. Yeah. Get it, Dr. Mike.
Wow, in the shoes.
You got this.
I mean, actually, I thought he was running at a pretty good speed, and then I realized I had it on double speed. So let me just slow it down.
Go.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen anyone get up the ground slower than that in my life. I mean, I was a physical education teacher. We taught students in grade primary to do these types of things. Laying prone, running, skipping, sliding, shuffling, all the things. And essentially all of them would be faster than this. So Mike is clearly pacing himself here. He doesn't want to gas out by actually jogging quickly, and so he's in his slow little trot. Do you think they've ever seen anyone slower than this in the history of the Army test? Like, picture it. All these masculine men are trying to be in the Army. Can you envision anyone going slower than this?
Sprint, 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 sprint.
Yeah. There is something to that.
That's
right?
what's important, yeah.
And so there you have it. He might be slow, but looks jacked while doing it.
233, 234.
Yeah, Dr. Mike.
And so, I don't know what's scarier, the fact that Mike is attempting this or the fact that Mike passed this. He passed it by 6 seconds going that slow. And so what does that tell you about the Army? And so the next time you hear somebody say, you know, I tried out for the Army, but I wasn't fit enough, Mr. Mike passed this test.
I hate your taste in music.
Don't care.
Thank you, Greg.
That was hard. I'm a little bit out of breath.
And so the thing is, Mr. Mike does not like Coach Greg, and so he refuses to take GO2 Max. If he were to actually take this, do a little bit of training, maybe a couple of times a week, or get the minimum amount of cardio, this would be a breeze. I mean, I've heard a rumor that he trains for jiu-jitsu and so on. He had a black belt, and when I envision jiu-jitsu fighters, I picture they're in shape, that they're fit. Mike clearly shows that that is all bullshit and that jiu-jitsu fighters, they're not actually fit. And so I'm not sure what to think of this. Is Mike lacking some of the training? Like when I watch UFC fighters and so on, I see they're doing all kinds of cardio. They're pushing themselves to the limit. And so how is it that Mike has a black belt but isn't actually fit? Code Greg, 15% off.
But my calves and my shins are blown up.
Yes, that's from severe deconditioning. And so when you don't train to this extent, like you're just literally lazy, all you do is work out. You do no cardiovascular training whatsoever. You don't even warm up on a bike. This is what happens. And so it sounds like he's suffering from medial tibial stress syndrome or shin splints, the way he's describing the pains in his calves and his shins and so on. And so that's a combination of not really using those muscles ever, the severe deconditioning, the fact that he's overweight, not by body fat, by sheer size, 230 plus pounds, that he doesn't actually stretch enough, in particular his calves are probably very tight, and that he never works on his mobility. Add to that the female shoes from Walmart or Target or wherever he's getting it from, and it's a recipe for disaster. And so why would you do that? Why?
Did he finish?
And so to answer the question, did he finish? Last I heard, he finished all over his stomach.
My only, and this isn't really a complaint, is that I wish it was a little bit heavier.
And so he barely passed by 6 seconds, and he wishes that the challenge was harder, that it was heavier. If it was a bit heavier, he would have failed. And so perhaps he's saying this because he realizes that Mr. Mike shouldn't have passed his test, and that if he can pass the test, this test is too easy. And so, Army, increase the weights by perhaps 50%, make it a challenge so that people don't all pass with such ease, as in even Mr. Mike was able to pass.
I was expecting the easy standards to be easier, but they're really hard.
And so Mike is saying he thinks the easy standards were going to be easier, that this is actually hard. I mean, I can't believe how easy it actually is.
And so I guess like the folks in the Army that can even pass the minimum, they're in pretty good shape. And I don't know if I'm in that kind of shape.
And so my personal opinion is if you can't achieve the maximum, that means you're not in shape. In particular, the 2-mile run. And if you fail the Army standard test, you failed in life. Honestly, if you can't pass the minimum of this test. Now, I mean, granted, if you're grandma, grandpa, you're really, really old, I would lower the standards a little bit. But if you're a young, healthy male and you cannot pass all of these, it's time to work out.
So this last event that we just did, by far my favorite. You know, it really separates the eagles from the pigeons.
Okay, I get it. It separates the eagles from the pigeons. He's just trolling. Every exercise is his favorite because he's beating Mr. Mike in all of them.
Now it's time for the 2-mile run. I believe. I believe. Question is, do you believe?
I believe there isn't a chance in hell that he can finish a 2-mile run.
All right, the last and final event is the 2-mile run. The minimum standard is 20 minutes, 44 seconds with the max of a 13:42.
And so the minimum standard is to run 2 miles in 20 minutes and 44 seconds. Do you know how slow that is? 2 miles in just under 21 minutes. That's a 10-minute and 22-second mile. When I was in grade 10, to pass, we had to run a mile in 8 minutes. That was to pass. There were maybe 1 or 2 students who didn't run under 8 minutes. They were chain smokers, they were obese, and they were just in gym class to have a good time. Everyone else passed. This is easy. If you cannot run the minimum 2 miles in 20 minutes and 44 seconds, well, you should practice running. You should jog. You should train yourself. Your VO2 max is so low that you're probably losing years off of your life. Remember, the VO2 max is the #1 predictor of longevity. And so you can do all the push-ups that you want. You can do all the sit-ups. You can do the shuttle run, the deadlift, all of that. But if you can't run 2 miles in 21 minutes, in 20 minutes, 16 minutes is really where you should be, you're probably losing years off of your life. And so if you want a training program, of course, you can click the link and you can hire Coach Greg as well as myself and my team. You can get the GO2 Max to improve your cardio. You can also go to Algo RX, get your blood work done. Maybe there's something inherently wrong with you. You could check that out. Perhaps you need to purchase things. I don't know. Maybe you need enclomiphene or peptides, a GLP to lose weight. If you're 100 pounds overweight, running 2 miles is going to be very, very hard. But if you're a young, healthy male and you're not obese, this should be easy.
First lap, 58 seconds, 19 laps to go.
Dr. Mike's on pace to pass if he keeps that pace for the next 19 laps.
And so he starts out running very strong. He's on pace to pass after 1 lap. 1 out of 20.
Some would say it's the most important event.
It's not some that would say this, it's everyone. When I was in grade 6, we had to run a mile, and after that it was a mile and a half, as well as running the Cooper 12-minute run. And it was a predictor of longevity, fitness, endurance, and so on. And in that Canadian fitness test, there were 6 events. I got excellent, superior, or the highest rating you could get in 5 out of 6. In the 6th event, it was running. I got bronze, barely passed. It was a running event. Remember, I was born, I had a lot of asthma, I was exercising a lot, but my genetics, they kind of sucked. And so after finding this out and watching almost everyone get higher scores than me, I raised the hand and said, why do I only get the bronze plaque? I had the highest score in almost every single event. For example, we had the sprints, we had the push-ups, we had the sit-ups, the shuttle run, the flexibility. I was excellent in everything. But there was this one event that I didn't do so good in, the running event. And the gym teacher says, but that's the most important event because it tests your heart, the most important muscle in the human body. And so, yeah, you're very strong. You set the push-up record, the sit-up record. You're actually amazing, but you're not very fit. And so I said, well, that's it for that. I'm training. And so I came back the next year, and what do you think I ran? The highest score you could get. I put in the work, and I started doing triathlons at age 13. And so that was the turning point in my fitness journey. And so you would think playing basketball, soccer, all the different events that I would be very good at running, but I was not because I didn't have very good genetics, at least not for running. But I practiced and I got better than last time. And so just because you don't have amazing genetics doesn't mean you can't work on it. Now, did I become the best runner in the world? No. There was a guy in my class, he literally continued to beat me. I continued to train. I was in the running team. I was doing triathlons, all this stuff. And we showed up in high school to run the mile, and he still beats me. Bro was smoking cigarettes and not training. That is the difference between amazing genetics for running and shitty genetics for running. And to this day, I'm still training. I'm racing bikes. And so just because you're not technically good at something, not born to do something exceedingly well, doesn't mean you can't work on it and be the best version that you can be. And so Mr. Mike, he's pathetic at running. Admittedly, I mean, look at bro run. If he were to dedicate himself and just jog a little bit, I most certainly think that Mr. Mike in a year could come back and likely get the excellent running score on this test. Running is one of the things you can improve the most. If you're a sedentary, you're not exercising, you're not running, you start running, you would not believe how much fitter and faster you can get in only a matter of months. And so if you're out of shape, kind of like Mr. Mike, don't feel embarrassed. Just do something about it. Can you be better tomorrow than you were today? Better today than you were yesterday? And if so, you actually win.
Lap 2,
Why do my
201.
shins hurt so much?
18 laps to go.
And so to answer your question, severe deconditioning, Mr. Mike. That is why.
2 mile event is something there to assess aerobic fitness, a bit of a suck fest.
Did Mr. Mike just hear suck fest? Now, that is his cup of tea. If it was a suck fest, he's going all in.
Lap 7, 8:30.
And so he gets 7 laps in out of 20 and he fails. He doesn't finish the event. He was off the pace, what he needed to do to actually pass. And so he wasn't even able to run 1 mile at the proper speed. It's not looking good for Mr. Mike.
The 2 mile run, I think, is a very, very good test. That's exactly the point here. I am not fit to serve in the United States Army.
And honestly, I think that they could just run a mile instead of 2 miles. I mean, after all, Mr. Mike didn't even make it to a mile. And so why not have the standard at running a mile in 8 minutes? The same as I had to do in grade 10. I mean, how hard is that? Now, if you want it to be a little bit easier so that half the Army doesn't actually have to get thrown out, you could raise it to a 9-minute mile, which is still pathetic. And so if you're thinking, no, you're being too hard on these people, not everyone can run that fast. Everyone can run that fast except for people that shouldn't be in the Army. If you can't run that fast, then too bad. Get out of the Army. If you're 100 pounds overweight, lose the weight. Get on a GLP. Click the link and go to AlgoRx. And remember, compare the prices with Merrick Health, and you'll be glad you went with AlgoRx. And of course, you can use oral supplementation as well. Turk Builder Max, GLP Max. You can go to the website, click the link, code Greg 15% off. And so, what is your excuse? Get the cookbook, go on the diet, start being healthy for once in your life, and you too can actually do it.
In a way that illustrates that I don't have the fundamental endurance to do things that are really, really important.
And so Mr. Mike, he admits it himself, he doesn't have the fundamental endurance to just do daily tasks on a daily basis. Like, you need to be fit. If he was stuck in the woods and had to walk back, would he even have the endurance to walk hours? Or what if he had to do it quickly? Imagine it's an emergency and you have to be able to jog a little bit. You need to be fit, not just for yourself, but for the other ones around you.
I would add 2 more tests. Broad jump is a huge test of lower body power. Converts to combat abilities such as scaling a small obstacle.
And so he misses the test where he could barely hop a nippard. And so he thinks they should bring that back. And technically it does measure explosive power, your vertical jump, power in your legs, the ability to jump over a river, perhaps. But this is enough. Anyone that could pass all of those tests that was just indicated is going to be able to hop a nippard. You don't need the test. Sometimes there's just too many tests. It's like, yeah, we get it. It's a fun test. It tests things. But this is enough. And for me, I would get rid of the plank test because, listen, who's failing that? Like, if you can pass the 2 mile run, if you can deadlift 345 pounds for 3 reps, there's no way your core isn't strong enough to pass that. And so that is just a useless waste of test because every single person that can pass the 2 mile run is passing that. There's no way you're so weak that you can't sit there in a plank. Old grandmas can plank. It is so simple. They need to throw it out.
The other test I would put in is pull-ups.
And so I agree with Mike, add in the pull-up test. Get rid of the plank test, it's useless. If you add in the hop and nipper test and get rid of the plank, I do think it's going to be a little bit better. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm, go to AlgoRx, watch one of those 2 bloops. And for coaching, to get sponsored, or to sell these supplements into your stores, click the link in the description. And until next time, I am out.